hope you recognize this collection because this is one of my favorite collections from 2023. It's My Story by Simple Stories. And, you know, this style normally isn't my thing, but there were a couple pieces in here that were my absolute favorite. And one of those pieces was definitely the book paper, and that book paper went out of stock so quickly. Now, I am a collection scrapbooker, so if I see one paper in this, I usually have to buy the whole collection. And I bought it on Black Friday or something and waited and waited and waited to get it from Scrapbook Generation, so now I'm actually starting to play with it. But that's not really the reason why we're here today. We're actually here today for Scraps to Embellishments. This is a year-long collaboration with a whole bunch of people from YouTube through Ginger's Corner. Ginger was the one to set it up. She's so sweet. And if you haven't checked her out before, make sure to go check her out. But essentially what happens is YouTubers are using their scraps to make embellishments and then making clusters or embellishment clusters. And at Ginger's Corner, her Facebook group, what these correlate with the swaps that she does. So if you make 4 of these swaps elements, you can get 4 back. And so we're trying to help provide inspiration on making your own embellishments from your scraps. Now, scraps in my case are a little bit different than I feel like a lot of other scrapbookers. What people do with their scraps is different than what I do. I am a collection scrapbooker, so when I have scraps, they stay with my collection. However, if it's colored cardstock, then it is sorted into my color cardstock scraps. And I have a spot right above me, this way right here, it's about this big, and it holds my colored cardstock scraps in rainbow collection, so blue, green, yellow, orange, you know, all of them, not in order or anything. I usually just rifle through it. But these are more solid papers. Like you can see there's a little bit of something here. Like these are some of my favorite papers, so I don't really want to get rid of them. But mostly I keep these ones in here so that I can die cut them later. I actually probably should remove these because I don't think I'll ever die cut with this, but that is a problem with another time. So I have a whole bunch of different colors in here and I just try to color match my collection. Otherwise, if it's patterned paper, it goes in an 8.5 by 11 sleeve in the bag that has the collection. And so MK Gunn, I believe, does a scraps January or something on her YouTube channel. I don't know what the name of it, but what she does is she makes layouts out of all of these scraps that she's compiled throughout the year, which is awesome. But for me to do something like that would be really hard because my scraps are incorporated with the collection so that I can use them together. So that's why we're talking about this focus collection. So I am doing the Sit On It theme for this week's swap over at Ginger's Corner. And so think of things that you can sit on. Benches, couches, chairs, floors, rugs, I don't know, whatever you can sit on, right? So I needed to make embellishments out of scrap paper that had that theme. And this collection is a great one to use because a lot of the motifs are indoor life. So you've got books, you've got chairs and bicycles and rugs and all this kind of stuff. So I thought this would be perfect to use for this documenting. So I'm going to show you the embellishments that I made and kind of talk about how I made them, and then we're going to actually put it on a page. I think other creators are probably just showing you how they made embellishment clusters. I don't make embellishment clusters, it's not my style. Instead, I'll put the embellishments on my page. So I am using a die set from Sizzix, and it's this one right here. I don't know if I can tell you the name of it or the number. It is number 664494. And so I thought this was perfect because it's got a couch and a rug and a, you know, just kind of a little scene that I can build. So these are some of the elements that I die cut out of my scraps of 6x8 paper and colored cardstock. So here are my 6x8 scraps or my 4x6 colored cardstocks. Another thing I do with my colored cardstock is I cut it down to 4x6 so that it fits in this super small drawer, and then I can rifle through this instead of going through my big packets of paper. And that's just a little bit easier. And then what I'll do is I'll color match all of the different colors, right? I don't think I have all of them from this collection. Like I don't, yeah. But I have enough that I can just stick this in with the collection now, and whenever I want to die cut anything, I've got colored cardstock. Maybe I want to use this for a mat for my photos. I've got colored cardstock. That'll match. So just a 4x6 piece of paper will really help elevate your papers as well. So I die cut all of those. And then I also die cut some bases. So I figured I was probably going to do a colored background. So I grabbed some white scraps and I just made a couple bases that I thought would go along with my story and the theme of this collection. Okay. I chose this one, and I'm actually going to use this for a base for my die cuts. But let's talk about how I die cut these, what that looks like. So when you die cut things with a little edge on them that does not cut, it makes an indent. You could take your ink pad and kind of go over the die lightly so that when you run it through, it colors the indents, just like this one did. The problem with that is that it's not a perfect technique because your ink pad is foam or felt or whatever, and it can get in the back plate. And so that's what this black is from. That's also how I got the extra detail on this tea kettle, is I used a Catherine Puller mini ink pad, inked the die that coordinates. It really got into the grooves where the flower is, but it also got around the edges of the teapot. And I actually really like it for this specific item. In this case, it makes it look like the couch is dirty. And so I'm probably not going to keep this one just because who wants a dirty couch? So for these, the ones that look a little bit cleaner, I just took a fine tip Sharpie and went through and followed the groove. So then you can still see the indents from the die, but then you have more definition by having the indent. And then I went around the edge on this one with my alcohol marker because this is super pigmented. And I just got a thin line. So I can do this super quick. I'm not pressing hard because if you press hard, then you get a bigger color, and we don't want that. Alcohol markers kind of soak into the paper. But there you have it. Now you've got a cute little outlined piece. Really like how that turns out. So let's make a page with these. Super simple. This is the paper that I'm choosing. It is the Focusing on Me paper. And it is just a bunch of storefronts, which I think is super cute. I don't know that I would use this page any other time except for to tell this story, which is perfect. So I've got a green piece of almost 6x8 paper. It might be a little bit wider. And then my 3 photos. So I've got my first purchase here, my second purchase there, and then my third purchase here. And these are actually all secondhand pieces of furniture that I absolutely love. Like, these items I don't think I can ever get rid of because I love them so much. So I'm going to kind of create a little bit of a grid. So you can see I've got an open space here and an open space here after I've put my note, my 3x4 card here. 3x4 cards work really well when you're trying to make a grid because it can fill a space for you. So we're going to fill a space with one of the die cuts that I made with just the white scrap paper. And I'm going to make a little bit of a scene. That's part of the reason why I chose this paper, was because I wanted to make a little bit of a scene. Super cute. So there's that. And then I've got my little nightstand here. And I want to put my tea kettle on top. And then I'm actually going to put another teacup, but it's going to go down on the carpet. In the original picture on here, they have the teacup and the tea kettle on the carpet, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But the teacup doesn't really fit well on this thing. It just doesn't look right because this is not 3D. This is 3D and this is 3D. So they didn't think through. Yeah, I don't know. It was poor design on their part. So that's that. I'm actually going to switch out this tea kettle. I want the one with the fanciness on it from the ink. So that's super cute. Now, I have a trick for you. When I'm working with die cuts, I use press and seal to hold them together. So I've got this perfectly right where I want it. Now I can press and seal these die cuts together so that I can move the chunk around. And that's how I planned this page, is I just had my press and seal just like this, and I was able to move my cluster wherever I wanted it. So I figured we've got 1, 2, and then I'm going to have some white up here. That's kind of how I decided how to do this one. Okay, so these are going to be extra. They will sit with my collection, and I may even keep this one that's got a little bit of the distressing just to see if maybe I need it for a future project. And to remind myself that I do have that die. You know, sometimes you just forget what you have, right? Okay, so then my final cluster, I use some scrap paper and I die cut my words. So it's going to be secondhand treasure. And because I die cut them, I use my press and seal to be able to move the letters together and around. And they're going to go like this. And I probably will like line this up with a T-square when I do it. Right now I don't really care. So secondhand treasure is my title. And I've got this kind of weird spot here. So that allows me to put in a cluster. I actually go that way. We'll see how this lands right here. You'll see close-ups at the end. And then I mixed this with some Felicity Jane puffies. Felicity Jane is no longer in business for physical product. They do have digital products still, so you can check them out if you like their style, but physical product, they don't have them anymore. So I'm just trying to find collections that have the same color scheme, and by golly, this is the same color scheme. So Capri by Felicity Jane. I'm going to fill that spot with a couple of these dots, and then I probably will move the second hand down so that my arrow is touching the H and touching the T. So it's going to move down a lot, actually. But that's how I'm going to fill that gap. And then I'm going to document do my little journaling right here in black to bring in the black from all the other clusters, although there's black there too. So that's my page. Super simple way to use your scraps to create a beautiful page. Title, embellishments, embellishment cluster, background paper was a scrap. Yeah. Make sure to check everybody else out who's playing along with this year-long hop. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.